Picture this. It's 2 a.m. and you're staring at your phone. The glow illuminates your face in the darkness as you scroll through your conversation with her. You see the timestamp from your last message 4 hours ago? No response. Your thumb hovers over the keyboard, crafting and deleting messages you'll never send. The digital silence is deafening, and yet you're about to break it again, aren't you? You're about to send that text, that casual, "Hey, how was your day?" That screams desperation louder than any words ever could. This is the modern man's battlefield. Not the ancient arenas where warriors prove their worth through strength and honor, but the cold, glowing screens where we surrender our power one message at a time. We've become digital beggars, constantly reaching out, constantly seeking validation, constantly diminishing ourselves in the pursuit of connection. But what if I told you that the very thing you think will bring her closer is the exact thing that pushes her away? What if the secret to attraction isn't in the messages you send, but in the ones you don't? The ancient Stoics understood something that modern men have forgotten. True power lies not in action, but in the mastery of inaction. It's not about what you do, it's about what you don't do. When you stop texting her first, you're not playing games. You're reclaiming your masculine essence. You're stepping into the quiet strength that has drawn women to men for millennia. Tonight, we journey into the depths of Stoic wisdom to understand why the man who doesn't text first is the man who wins. It's not because he's manipulative, but because he's authentic. Not because he's playing hard to get, but because he actually is hard to get. The difference between these two states is the difference between a king and a beggar, between magnetic attraction and desperate repulsion. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you constantly reach out to her, you're surrendering this power. You're allowing outside events, her response or lack thereof, to dictate your emotional state. You're giving her the remote control to your inner world, and she can sense this immediately. The feminine energy is naturally drawn to the masculine energy that is contained, controlled, and self-possessed. When you text her first again and again, you're breaking this containment. You're spilling your energy onto her, and energy that is freely given is rarely valued. Think about the most attractive men you know. They're not the ones frantically typing messages at midnight. They're the ones who respond when they feel like it, who have lives so full and purposeful that their phones are merely tools, not lifelines. The first truth the Stoics would teach you is this: your constant reaching out is not love. It's anxiety masquerading as affection, Seneca wrote. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. When you constantly text her first, you're revealing your poverty of spirit. You're showing her that you lack so much in your own life that you need her attention to feel whole. And no woman, no matter how much she cares for you, wants to be responsible for a man's emotional well-being. This isn't about being cold or distant. It's about being grounded. It's about being so secure in your own worth that you don't need constant validation from another person. The man who doesn't text first isn't indifferent. He's self-sufficient. He's interesting because he's interested in his own life first. He's attractive because he's attracted to his own journey, his own growth, his own purpose. Asterisk. Consider the hunter in the wild. He doesn't chase his prey frantically through the forest, crashing through branches and making noise. He moves with patience, with purpose, with calculated stillness. He knows that the desperate chase only alerts the prey to his presence and ruins any chance of success. The skilled hunter positions himself strategically and waits. He trusts in his preparation, his skill, and his patience. This is the energy of the masculine, not the frantic pursuit, but the confident positioning. When you text her first constantly, you're like the amateur hunter, crashing through the digital forest, making so much noise that you scare away the very thing you're trying to catch. But when you pull back, when you allow silence to exist between you, you create space for her to wonder, to miss you, to think about you. You create the psychological space necessary for attraction to flourish. Epictetus, who understood the power of focusing only on what we can control, taught us, wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants. The man who needs her to text him back immediately is a man of many wants. He wants her attention, her validation, her constant presence in his digital world. But the man who can go days without texting her first is a man of few wants. He's wealthy. In the truest sense, he possesses himself completely. The second profound truth is that women are naturally drawn to mystery and space. The feminine energy thrives in the unknown, in the spaces between certainty. When you text her constantly, you remove all mystery from the equation. Become predictable, and predictability is the death of attraction. She knows exactly when. You'll message her, exactly how you'll respond, exactly how available you are. You've become as exciting as her daily commute. But the man who doesn't text first, he's an enigma. She wonders what he's doing, who he's with, what's capturing his attention. This wondering is not torture. It's the very essence of romantic tension. It's the space where her imagination can fill in the blanks. And her imagination will always paint you in more interesting colors than your constant availability ever could. Marcus Aurelius understood this principle deeply when he wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." The man who constantly texts is never present. He's always reaching into the future, trying to create a response, trying to maintain a connection that doesn't naturally exist in the moment. But the man who doesn't text first is fully present in his own life. He's engaged with his work, his passions, his friends, his growth, and this presence is magnetic. The third truth cuts even deeper. Your constant initiation of contact is actually training her to take you for granted. Every time you text her first, you're teaching her that your attention is free, that your interest is guaranteed, that she doesn't need to invest any energy to maintain your connection. You're conditioning her to see you as the pursuer and herself as the pursued. And this dynamic is inherently unbalanced. Think about anything in your life that you truly value. Was it given to you freely, or did you have to earn it somehow?
Yep.
Things we work for, the things we invest in, the things we have to pursue, these are the things we cherish. When you make yourself completely available through constant texting, you're removing any need for her to invest in the connection. You're doing all the work, and she's reaping all the benefits. Seneca wrote, "The willing destiny guides them. The unwilling destiny drags them." When you're always the one texting first, you're in the position of the unwilling, being dragged by your need for her response. But when you step back and allow the natural flow of communication to emerge, you become the willing participant in your own destiny. You're no longer at the mercy of her reply schedule. The fourth truth is perhaps the most liberating. A woman who is genuinely interested in you will reach out. If she never initiates contact, if she never wonders where you are or what you're doing enough to send you a message, then her interest is shallow at best. You're not losing anything by not texting first. You're discovering the truth about her level of investment in you. The man who doesn't text first is conducting a natural experiment in attraction. He's allowing her true level of interest to reveal itself. She disappears when he stops initiating. Then she was never truly interested. She was just enjoying the attention and validation he was providing. But if she starts reaching out, when he pulls back, then he's discovered something genuine. This isn't about manipulation or games. It's about authenticity. It's about allowing the real dynamics of attraction to surface instead of artificially maintaining them through constant effort. Epictetus taught us that we should focus only on what is within our control. Her level of interest in you is not within your control, but your response to that level of interest is. The fifth truth speaks to the very core of masculine energy. The most attractive version of yourself is the version that is complete without her. When you text her first constantly, you're communicating that you're incomplete, that you need her response to feel whole, that your emotional state depends on her attention. This is the opposite of the masculine energy that naturally attracts the feminine. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself and your way of thinking." The man who embodies this principle is irresistibly attractive because he's not trying to extract happiness from others. He's generating it from within. He's not texting her first because he needs her to make him feel good. He already feels good. and he's simply sharing that good feeling when the natural moment arises. This internal completeness creates what psychologists call outcome independence. You're not attached to her response because you're not depending on her response for your well-being. This detachment isn't coldness, it's freedom. Freedom is one of the most attractive qualities a person can possess. The sixth truth reveals the power of silence itself. In a world where everyone is constantly talking, constantly sharing, constantly broadcasting their thoughts and feelings, the person who can be comfortable in silence stands out like a beacon. When you don't text her first, you're not just refraining. From communication, you're demonstrating your comfort with silence, your ability to exist peacefully without constant stimulation. Seneca understood this when he wrote, "All cruelty springs from weakness." The cruelty of constant texting, and it is a form of cruelty, both to yourself and to her, springs from the weakness of being unable to sit with uncertainty, unable to be comfortable with not knowing. But the man who can go days without texting her first is demonstrating a profound strength, the strength to be uncertain and be okay with it. This silence also creates space for her to miss you. Missing someone is one of the most powerful emotional experiences in human connection. But she can't miss you if you're always there, always present in her digital space. Your constant availability eliminates the very possibility of longing. And longing is the fuel of romantic attraction. The seventh truth is that high-value men simply don't over-pursue. Look at any man who has options, who has a full life, who has genuine confidence. He's not sitting by his phone waiting to text women. He's engaged with his mission, his purpose, his growth. His phone is a tool he uses when necessary, not a leash that keeps him connected to his emotional state. When you constantly text her first, you're signaling that you don't have options, that you're not in demand, that you have so much free time and mental energy that you can dedicate it to monitoring her response patterns. But the man who doesn't text first is signaling the opposite, that he has a life so full and engaging that he doesn't have time to be glued to his phone. This isn't about pretending to be busy or playing hard to get. It's about actually being busy with things that matter to you. It's about actually being hard to get because you're genuinely valuable and your time is genuinely precious. The difference between authentic unavailability and manufactured scarcity is the difference between gold and fool's gold. People can sense the difference intuitively. The eighth truth goes to the heart of energy management. Every message you send is an investment of your mental and emotional energy. And you're always the one texting first. You're essentially giving away your energy for free while she contributes nothing. This creates an imbalanced dynamic where you're depleting yourself while she's being energized by your attention. Epictetus taught us, no one can hurt you without your permission. When you constantly text her first and she doesn't respond with the same enthusiasm, you're giving her permission to hurt you. You're setting up a dynamic where her response or lack thereof has the power to affect your emotional state. But when you stop texting first, you're withdrawing that permission. You're reclaiming your energy and your emotional sovereignty. The ninth truth is that attraction is not logical. It's emotional and psychological. The constant texter is trying to maintain attraction through logical means. If I stay in contact, if I show interest, if I'm available, then she'll be attracted to me. But attraction doesn't work this way. Attraction is created and maintained through emotional dynamics, through tension, through the unknown, through the space between certainty and uncertainty. When you don't text her first, you're working with the natural laws of attraction instead of against them. You're creating the emotional space necessary for her to feel the pull toward you. You're allowing her to wonder, to miss you, to think about you. And these mental processes are far more powerful than any text message you could send. The 10th truth reveals the power of self-respect. Every time you text her first when she hasn't reciprocated that energy, you're teaching yourself that your time and attention are not valuable. You're conditioning yourself to accept less than you deserve, to be satisfied with crumbs when you deserve the whole feast. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does." When you stop texting her first, you're avoiding the trouble of constantly monitoring her response. constantly analyzing her interest level, constantly adjusting your behavior based on her reactions. You're freeing yourself from the exhausting cycle of seeking external validation. The 11th truth speaks to the nature of desire itself. Desire is created through absence, not presence. When you're always texting her first, you're always present. In her digital space, always available, always there. This eliminates the very possibility of desire. She can't want what she already has, and if you're always texting her first, she already has your attention. But when you pull back, when you create space, when you allow absence to exist between, you're creating the conditions for desire to flourish. She begins to wonder where you are, what you're doing, why you haven't reached out. Wondering is the beginning of wanting, and wanting is the beginning of pursuit. The 12th truth is perhaps the most profound. The man who doesn't need to text her first is the man who has found his center. He's not dependent on external validation for his sense of worth. He's not using her responses to measure his value as a man. He's grounded in his own purpose, his own mission, his own journey. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." The same principle applies to the urge to text her first. When you feel that urge, that need to reach out, that anxiety about the silence between you, delay. Sit with that feeling. Understand that it's not actually about her, it's about your own discomfort with uncertainty, your own fear of being forgotten, your own need for validation. The 13th truth is that women are naturally drawn to the energy of the masculine. That is contained and controlled. When you constantly text her first, you're demonstrating that you can't contain your own energy, that you can't control your own impulses, that you're at the mercy of your own emotional needs. This is the opposite of the masculine energy that naturally attracts the feminine. The contained masculine energy is like a powerful river that flows steadily within its banks. It's not rushing, not overflowing, not desperate to reach its destination. It's moving with purpose and power, but it's controlled. This is the energy of the man who doesn't text first. He's moving through his life with purpose and power. But he's not desperate to reach any particular destination in his relationship. With her, the 14th truth reveals the power of trust. Not trust in her, but trust in the natural flow of life. When you constantly text her first, you're demonstrating that you don't trust the natural dynamics of attraction to unfold. You're trying to force something that should flow naturally. But when you step back and allow space for the natural rhythms of connection to emerge, you're demonstrating a profound trust in the process. Marcus Aurelius understood this when he wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together." The man who doesn't text first is accepting what fate has brought him, while also loving himself enough not to chase what isn't naturally flowing toward him. The 15th truth is that your restraint is a form of strength, not weakness. In a world that confuses activity with productivity, noise with communication, and constant contact with genuine connection, the man who can be still, who can be quiet, who can be patient, is demonstrating a rare and powerful form of strength. Epictetus taught, "Thus wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants." The man who doesn't need to text her first is wealthy in this truest sense. He has few wants because he's complete within himself. He's not trying to extract something from her through constant communication. He's simply sharing his completeness. When the natural moment arises, the 16th truth is that silence is not empty, it's full. It's full of possibility, full of potential, full of the space necessary for genuine connection to grow. When you fill every moment with messages, you're not creating connection, you're preventing it. You're not allowing the natural rhythm of approach and retreat that characterizes all healthy relationships. The final truth is the most liberating of all. When you stop texting her first, you discover who you really are. You discover that your worth is not dependent on her response. You discover that your happiness is not contingent on her attention. You discover that you're complete, whole, and valuable exactly as you are. This is not about becoming cold or distant. This is about becoming authentic. This is about honoring your own energy and your own worth. This is about understanding that the right woman will appreciate your restraint, your self-control, your ability to be complete without her. She'll recognize it as a sign of strength, not weakness. She'll be drawn to it, not repelled by it. The man who doesn't text first is not playing games. He's living authentically. He's not trying to manipulate her into chasing him. He's simply living his life so fully that he doesn't need her to chase him. He's not withholding his interest. He's expressing it in a way that honors both of their energies. When you stop texting her first, you're not being mean or cruel. You're being honest about your own worth and your own energy. You're demonstrating that you have a life, a purpose, a mission that is bigger than your relationship with her. You're showing her that you're the kind of man who can be trusted with her heart because you've learned to trust yourself with your own. The silence you create is not empty, it's pregnant with possibility. It's the space where genuine attraction can grow, where real connection can develop, where authentic love can flourish. When you text her first constantly, you're crowding out this possibility. You're filling the space where love could grow with the weeds of neediness and desperation. But when you step back, when you honor the natural rhythms of attraction, you trust in your own worth and her ability to recognize it, you create the conditions for something beautiful to emerge. You create the space for her to miss you, to wonder about you, to think about you, to reach out to you. And if she doesn't, if she never initiates contact when you stop doing it, then you've learned something valuable about her level of investment in you. You've discovered that what you thought was connection was actually just her enjoying the attention and validation you were providing. You've saved yourself from a relationship that was built on your neediness rather than mutual attraction. The ancient Stoics understood that true strength comes from within. That genuine attraction is based on self-possession rather than pursuit. That lasting connection is built on mutual respect rather than one-sided effort. When you stop texting her first, you're not following a dating strategy. You're embodying ancient wisdom. You're becoming the kind of man who naturally attracts the kind of woman who can appreciate his depth, his strength, his self-possession. This is not about being perfect or never making mistakes. This is about recognizing that your constant reaching out is not serving you or her. It's about understanding that love is not about constant contact. It's about mutual respect, shared energy, and the natural flow of attraction between two complete individuals. When you stop texting her first, you are not playing games. You are showing her that you have a life, a mission, and a deep inner worth that doesn't depend on her validation. You are demonstrating that you're the kind of man who can be trusted with her heart, because you've learned to trust yourself with your own. She will feel the silence. She will remember the man who didn't need to prove himself. And if she doesn't, then it was never meant to be. But you remain unshaken, complete, and ready for the woman who can recognize and appreciate the rare gift of a man who knows his own worth.